Here are today's top stories. The Department of Social Welfare and Development prepares for the impact of Tropical Depression Mirasol as it crosses Northern Luzon. The Department of Public Works and Highways recommends removing the budget for locally funded flood control projects. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. reminds the armed forces of the Philippines to maintain their loyalty to the Constitution and the Filipino people. 2 more venues will showcase the independent film festival Cinemalaya set from October 3 to 12. This is the Pna Headlines. I am William Theo. The Department of Social Welfare and Development is closely monitoring Tropical Depression Mirasol, currently moving across Northern Luzon. DSWD Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao confirmed that the quick response teams are on standby to assist local government units along the storm's path. She added that the department has over 2.5 million family food packs, more than 114,000 ready-to-eat food boxes, and over 313,000 non-food items prepared for immediate distribution. In line with directives from Secretary Rex Gatchalian, DSWD field offices are coordinating with LGUs, which are setting up community kitchens to help meet the basic needs of evacuees. The DSWD is also in constant communication with the Weather Bureau and the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council for crucial updates on Mirasol's impact. Meanwhile, residents in affected areas are urged to remain vigilant and follow all safety instructions from local authorities. As of 11 a.m. today, Mirasol has made landfall in Aurora Province and is now traversing Northern Luzon. The storm was last observed in Alfonso Lista, Ifugao, with maximum sustained winds of 55 kilometers per hour near the center and gusts of up to 90 kilometers per hour. Mirasol is moving northwest at 15 kilometers per hour. Signal number 1 is currently in effect over Batanes, Cagayan, including the Babuyan Islands, Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, the northern and central portions of Aurora, Apayao, Abra, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, Benguet, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, the northeastern part of Pangasinan, and the northern portion of Nueva Ecija. Heavy rainfall is expected in Cagayan, Isabela, Aurora, Quirino, Ifugao, Mountain Province, Kalinga, Apayao, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Abra, Benguet, and Nueva Vizcaya. Pag-asa also anticipates that Mirasol will intensify into a tropical storm as it moves across the Luzon Strait. The Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, seeks to remove the allocation for locally funded flood control projects from its 2026 National Expenditure Program. Public Works Secretary Vince Dizon has formally recommended a budget adjustment in a letter to Congress. The Department of Public Works and Highways proposed the budget will be reduced to approximately 624 billion pesos, a 28.9% decrease from the original allocation of 881 billion pesos. This cut amounts to a decrease of over 255 billion pesos. Dizon said this is in line with President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to remove all local flood control projects from the 2026 budget and allocate them to other programs such as agriculture, education, and healthcare. The House Committee on Appropriations is set to hold a hearing today on the proposed DPWH budget. The Court of Appeals has frozen the bank accounts and insurance policies of 26 former and current DPWH personnel, along with private contractors linked to alleged irregularities in flood control projects in Bulacan. Matthew David, Executive Director of the Anti-Money Laundering Council, or AMLAC, confirmed the freeze affects 135 bank accounts and 27 insurance policies, all tied to individuals under investigation by the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. The freeze order is in effect for 30 days, with banks required to report the remaining balances within 24 hours. David stressed that the move aims to prevent the disposal of these assets as part of efforts to combat money laundering and corruption. While no civil forfeiture case has been filed yet, investigations are ongoing with separate money laundering charges expected soon. Meanwhile, Roberto Figueroa, General Counsel of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, stated that the Anti-Financial Account Scamming Act will be used as it covers actions such as deposits and withdrawals in disputed transactions. President Marcos Jr. reminds the armed forces of the Philippines that their loyalty must remain with the Constitution and the Filipino people. Marcos made the statement during the oath-taking ceremony of newly promoted generals and flag officers held in Malacanang on Wednesday. In his speech, Marcos reminded the military officials to act with integrity, uphold the rule of law, and defend democracy. The president praised AFP's reliability and readiness as proven by its disaster response and international defense drills. He said that while the officers deserve their promotions, he underscored that promotions come with greater responsibilities. Marcos told the officers to set an example and likewise called on the military to guard the peace and deepen ties with like-minded partners who envision a freer, more stable region. The reminder came as the Independent Commission of Infrastructure, led by retired Supreme Court Justice Andres Reyes Jr., launches its probe on alleged corruption in flood control projects. This coincides with preparations for September 21 rallies by civil society groups decrying corruption in infrastructure spending as a threat to democracy.
Huwag kalimutan, ang panunumpa ninyo ngayon ay sa Republika at sa bawat Pilipinong nagtitiwala na dahil sa inyo, sila ay mabubuhay ng ligtas at may dangal. Today is not only a milestone, but a renewed pledge that your loyalty remains with the Constitution and the Filipino people. Always act with integrity, uphold the rule of law, defend our democracy.
The Cultural Center of the Philippines, or CCP, has announced that 2 more venues will showcase the independent film festival Cinemalaya, set from October 3 to 12. Shangri-La Plaza will be the main hub of the festival for the very first time. 10 full-length films and short film entries will also be screened at Gateway Cineplex 18, as well as Ayala Mall Cinemas, which has been Cinemalaya's partner for over 2 decades. With the theme Layag sa Alon, Hangin at Unos, Cinemalaya's 21st edition will reflect on the brave and persevering Filipino stories. Since its establishment in 2005, Cinemalaya has been traditionally held in the CCP theaters, but the ongoing rehabilitation at the center has led festival organizers to find new venues. In our business news, the Philippines is now under consideration for inclusion in JP Morgan's Emerging Market Government Bond Index. On September 12, JP Morgan announced that Philippine peso-denominated government bonds have been placed on its positive watch list, marking the final review phase for potential inclusion in the Global Bond Index for Emerging Markets, or GBIM. The GBIM is the leading index for local currency sovereign bonds in emerging markets, closely followed by global investors and fund managers for investment guidance. In response, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas said the country's inclusion in the index could attract more foreign investment, increase liquidity, and lower borrowing costs for both the government and the private sector. Meanwhile, the Department of Finance emphasized that the move would create more jobs and channel greater resources into critical sectors like education, healthcare, and infrastructure, benefiting Filipino families nationwide. And in other news, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, and the Department of Finance have officially signed a data sharing agreement, or DSA, aimed at strengthening the management of natural resources in the Philippines. According to the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, the agreement will enhance cooperation to support the Philippine Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, or PHITI, which promotes accountability and good governance in the country's extractive sector. The PHEITI, established through Executive Order Number 147 in 2013, operates under the Department of Finance and aligns with the global EITI standards. Under this new agreement, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, will provide PHEITI with enhanced access to corporate data, including beneficial ownership information of registered companies. This collaboration is part of the government's broader efforts to combat corruption and illegal financial activities in the extractive industries. This move follows the Philippines' successful removal from the Financial Action Task Force's gray list in February, marking a significant step in strengthening efforts to prevent money laundering and terrorist financing. And those are the latest and the biggest stories from the Pna Headlines. For more news updates, visit our website pna.gov.ph or our Facebook and X account, Philippine News Agency. You may also watch the Pna Headlines through the Philippine News Agency's YouTube account and via the News and Information Bureau website under PNA News. Are you ready for the most wonderful time of the year? It's 99 days before Christmas. Stay with us for more updates. I am William Theo. This is the Pna Headlines, bringing you stories that unite the nation.